Welcome to Midfield SportsCast.
and the 31st episode of Divided Friendship Podcast. We are back for heading into week 5. It's week 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We missed last week. Did not have a podcast, but we did predict the games, the scores, and everything else to go with it. So, to start the episode, we will review week 4's predictions for the episode we did not film. And then we will go on to our predictions for week 5's top 5 games. We'll go over the scores, the standings of the point system thing we have going on. Then we're going to do our upset picks, talk about each of our teams, games heading into next week, and that'll close out the episode. So,
Wait, we got to review the games from last
yeah,
week.
I know. I already said that.
Oh.
Okay, so to start, we will review the games from last week. We will skip the first game because you have to talk about that at the end. Right?
I
Oh,
meant like the other games, silly. Not just these ones.
well, it is me, Maddyx. It is Dawson. No Luke today. He
No
is
ye.
out sick.
Out with an injury.
So we'll review the games we want to review.
The show must go on though, We do have his predictions in, so he will be still involved in the show, but he just won't be actually on here talking with us and to you guys. So
Yeah.
he should be back by the next podcast, but who knows?
All right. So I guess I'll go into a game. I'll review that Dawson's upset pick of the week last week. Buffalo beating Northern Illinois. Final score is 23-20 in overtime. Buffalo did win, and he did predict that. Ogbonna for Buffalo, 10 for 17 for 107 yards and a touchdown. Hampton for Northern Illinois had a little bit of a down game, went only 23 for 43 for 194 yards and an interception. Throwing 43 times, you should have a lot more than 194 yards. And you should also put a touchdown on the board. Brown for Northern Illinois had 2 touchdown runs. Henderson had 1 for Buffalo. And V. Snow, probably the player of the game, 3 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown in this one. Buffalo did beat a then-ranked Northern Illinois team and picked up a very big win for them on the season. Billy?
Oh, shoot. All right. Let's see here. What was that?
I don't even know.
Well, if it would load, I would. There we go. All right. This game was kind of a shocker. Not really kind of a shocker. A big shocker. But I expected a little more football to be played in this game. Missouri beating Vanderbilt 30-27 in double overtime. Which Vanderbilt looked really, really solid in this game. Diego Pavia, 14 for 23, 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 84 rushing yards for him. Not really a lot going on offense other than that. Cedric Alexander had 52 yards. A.J. Newberry had a touchdown, and Joseph McVeigh had a receiving touchdown, as well as Gabe Fisher. Had 2 fumbles, neither were lost. Now for Missouri, Brady Cook, 23 for 37, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nate Noel for Missouri had himself a very good football game. Transfer from App State, I do believe. He went 24 carries for 199 yards, over 8 yards a carry. Did not have a touchdown, though. Marcus Carroll had 5 for 10 and a touchdown. Leading receiver Luther Burden, 6 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Theo Weiss, 5 for 55. Tale of this game was missed field goals. Missouri, their kicker missed a couple. Blake Craig, 3 for 6 on field goal attempts. And then Vanderbilt's kicker, Brock Taylor, 2 for 4 on field goal attempts. So 5 missed field goals in this game, which really ended up being the difference in the end. Also, why Missouri was even in overtime in the first place, and why Vanderbilt lost in overtime.
All right, for me, I'm going to head to Boulder, Colorado for Colorado-Baylor, a overtime game here as well. 38-31, Colorado picked up the win against Baylor. Kind of a game you can't really skip over. Dang it, I just swiped out of it. So, Colorado, and really weird ending to the game. The fans rushed the field before the game was over, and then they reviewed it, and Travis Hunter did force a fumble to win the ball game. Robertson for Baylor, 11 for 21 for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really did not do that much, but they still put points on the board. Shadur Sanders, 25 for 41, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not a really great rushing game for Colorado as well. Leading rusher with 41 yards. Travis Hunter, 7 catches, 130 yards. And the forced fumble to win the game in overtime. Baylor had 2 touchdowns from the quarterback, 1 from their running back. That's 3. They had something else, didn't they? I don't add up. Okay, there we go. 1 touchdown from Jamal Bell, who is a receiver. It says defense, though. That don't make any sense. What does that even mean?
What?
It says Jamal. Oh, that was the kick return. Jamal Bell had the kick return touchdown. 31-38 was the final. Travis Hunter is now, for sure, I think, a Heisman contender, even at Colorado. He's just too good to keep off the list. Now we got. You want to go into these games? Or you got something else?
I got one more.
Right.
Texas A&M Bowling Green. This is the second straight game for the Falcons that they've played a ranked team in a very tough away environment. First went to Penn State and then to College Station, Texas, where they had to play the Texas A&M Aggies and only lost this game by 6 points. I mean, Bowling Green is proving to be a pretty solid football team, a pretty solid MAC program. As clearly, if you can hang in there with A&M and Penn States of the world, you can for sure hang in there with Akron and Kent State, Central Michigan, I'd assume. But it is MACtion. You never know what'll happen. Connor Bazelak, 20 for 36, 250 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Rakeem Smith, 1 carry, 40 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Their leading rusher for the day was Terrion Stewart, 13 carries, 42 yards, no touchdowns. Top receiver, the tight end, Harold Fannin Jr., 8 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown, including that massive 65-yard touchdown catch, which was very electrifying for Bowling Green. I do believe he is one of the best tight ends in all of college football. Now, for A&M, Marcel Reed, 16 for 29, 173 yards, and 2 interceptions. Right now, with the way he's playing, I really like him more for A&M than I like a guy like Connor Weigman. Also added 91 rushing yards on the ground, great dual-threat quarterback, and I honestly think he's playing pretty good, and I don't think they should roll with Weigman when he returns from injury. I think they should just stick with Marcel Reed. Le'Veon Moss, the top rusher in the running back room, 16 carries, 490 yards. J.D. Walker, 3 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. And Theo Malene Ostrom, 1 catch, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Marcus Ratcliffe had the lone interception on the day for Texas A&M. And I mean, this one was just kind of a shocker. I don't think anybody expected Bowling Green to hang around with another ranked team in a tough road environment. They actually outthrew them and only had about 70 less yards than them. So overall, not too bad of a performance. Now, Texas A&M ripped them to shreds rushing wise. So that's really what hurt Bowling Green at the end of this game and helped Texas A&M stay on top.
All right. Now I will skip the USC Michigan. I'm going to talk about, wow, that was bad. I'm going to talk about Illinois and Nebraska, a game that was on Friday night. Two ranked Big Ten teams, 24 Illinois and 22 Nebraska. Luke Altmaier having a great start to his season, went 21 for 27 for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. Couldn't ask for any more from him. Bryant had 2 touchdowns receiving for Illinois. Raiola, 3 touchdowns thrown, 1 pick, and 297 passing yards. In a 31-24 win for Illinois in overtime. A game that I thought was going to be close. No, we didn't. I thought it was going to be 31-14 Nebraska. Philly said 31-15 Nebraska. Luke said 21-14 Illinois. And he will get +1 for the correct score, +3 for a lower ranked team beating a higher ranked team, as well as the USC at Michigan. Michigan obviously won that game. Luke and Dawson both picked that. They get +1 for that and +3 for lower ranked beating high ranked. So that's the first 2 games. Now, Billy, if you want to go on with the third one, fourth or fifth, whichever one's. This one.
Let's go with the primetime game of the night. We will go into Norman, Oklahoma to cover what was a pretty good game where the Volunteers end up beating Oklahoma by a score of 25-15. A little bit of an interesting situation we had in this game as OU starter Jackson Arnold was benched in place of a freshman quarterback, Michael Hawkins Jr., who came in, and I think he played a better game than Jackson Arnold. They both had about a half football, and Michael Hawkins was playing from behind the whole time. So is Jackson Arnold, but obviously you get into the second half, being down means a little bit more. Now, Nico Iamaleava. Golly. 13 for 21, 194 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Dylan Sampson, 24 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Brew McCoy was their leading receiver, had 4 catches for 92 yards, and Dante Thornton had the lone receiving touchdown on a 66-yard strike, and he finished with 73 receiving yards on 2 catches. There was plenty of fumbles in this game. Nico Iamaleava.
Just say Nico.
No. Nico Iamaleava, 2 fumbles, lost both of them. It was, I feel like both quarterbacks fumbled a lot. Jackson Arnold fumbled twice as well, and both of those were lost. Now on the flip side, for the Sooners, Jackson Arnold 7 for 16, no touchdowns and an interception. Michael Hawkins, the freshman, comes in 11 for 18, 132 yards and a touchdown. Pretty solid numbers there for the freshman quarterback. I don't know if he's a true freshman, but Javante Barnes had the only touchdown rushing for Oklahoma, 8 carries, 12 yards. Leading rusher was actually Michael Hawkins with 12 carries for 22 yards. Leading receiver for the Sooners, Jaquays Petaway, 3 catches, 79 yards, and Javante Barnes had the only receiving touchdown on the day. Robert Spears Jennings, defensively for Oklahoma, was great. 13 total tackles, a sack, and a TFL. This game was a weird game, but it was also a very competitive game. Tennessee 100 more yards total than Oklahoma. It was really the rushing game that separated the two, as Oklahoma only finished with 36 rushing yards compared to Tennessee's 151. Oklahoma had a lot less penalties than Tennessee, as Tennessee had 10 and Oklahoma had 3, which will be one thing Tennessee needs to clean up going into the future, headed into more SEC play.
All right. Now I'll just go to the bummy game of our top 5 games of the week. I'll go to Kansas State at BYU. BYU just outplayed Kansas State on all 3 phases of football, winning this one 38-9. Just an insane game from BYU. Johnson threw 2 picks in this game for Kansas State. He struggled. Just couldn't get anything going on offense. 3 field goals from Chris Tennant from 32, 27, and 28 from Kansas State. BYU down early, 6-0, just scored a field goal, a touchdown on a fumble return for a touchdown. Then scored a 23-yard pass, 3-yard pass, 90-yard punt return from Will Farron. He has absolutely blazing down the sideline. A great return by him, showing off his speed there. Then a 21-yard run for a touchdown to close off the win. The leading rusher for BYU, a freshman, Sione E. Moa. He doesn't even have a picture on ESPN, but he had 21 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. No, he had 15 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. That was his season stat, sorry. But yeah, that's the last. No, one more game. You want to do it? You want me to do it?
I don't care. Whichever you want to do, bucko.
I don't care. You got it pulled up. We'll go.
All right.
Oh, shoot. Give it back. We all predicted Kansas State, so we all got that one wrong. Did you go over what we predicted for Tennessee, Oklahoma? So me and Philly both predicted Tennessee. We will get +1 for that. Luke predicted Oklahoma. He gets nothing. And like I said, we all predicted Kansas State, and we're wrong. So now moving on to Utah, Oklahoma State. Take it away.
All right. This one, another interesting game as the Cam Rising injury dilemma continues. Will he play? Will he not play? He should play this week. He won't play for the rest of the season. I guess we just won't know until we actually see him on the field as Utah's quarterback. Because in this game, it was the brother of Zach Wilson. Isaac Wilson was the Utes quarterback, where they won. Where they won this game 22-19. He went 17 for 29, 207 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But Micah Bernard, what a game on the ground. 25 carries, 182 yards. Did not have any touchdowns. Lone rushing touchdown came from Brent Kuth, who had a 1-yard rush. Dorian Singer was the Utes' leading receiver, 7 catches, 94 yards, and Brent Kuth also had the lone receiving touchdown. Now for Oklahoma State, the rushing struggles continue as Ollie Gordon came into the season as probably a good bit of people's kind of dark horse, sleeper for Heisman. I wouldn't even call him dark horse. I think a lot of people really thought he had a legitimate chance to win the Heisman just based off the season he had last season. But 11 carries for 42 yards in this game. Not very good. And he's got 73 carries for 258 yards on the season. Only 4 touchdowns with it. 3.5 yards a carry. Obviously, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Obviously not terrible, but not what you're expecting from a supposed top 2 running back in all of college football, and not 2. Alan Bowman, 16 for 33, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not
This one mine.
not a very good performance from a veteran of the game who spent a lot of time all around college football. He's been at Texas Tech, he's been at Michigan, and now obviously at Oklahoma State. Garrett Rangel came into the game, and he was not much better at all. 3 for 11, 31 yards. And this is kind of where you see the Oklahoma State offense struggle. They just can't get anything going consistently. One game you'll have Alan Bowman have a great game. Next game, he plays like this. Ollie Gordon has not done very well all season, and no other running back has either. So they can't get a ground game going. They can't get the passing game going, and that's just not what you want in an offense. Nothing is clicking consistently. Now, receiving, Brandon Presley and Rashad Owens both had a touchdown. Presley had 47 yards, and Owens had 42 yards. Trey Tucker and Obi Ezigbo both had over 10 total tackles, but I mean, that's about how this game went. Utah only won this by 3, but performed a lot better than Oklahoma State did.
For this game, we predicted, me and Dawson both picked Utah, got it right, got +1. Luke got Oklahoma State, he got it wrong. So for the week, Luke went 2 for 5 on picks, I went 2 for 5 on picks, and Philly went 3 for 5 on picks. Luke gets +8 this week, though. Even though he went 2 for 5, he got Illinois beating Nebraska, so he got. Hold the phone. I don't think that's right. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's lower rank being high rank, so it's +3. All right, we're good. Luke got +3 for that, and +1 for getting the game right. So +8 for Luke, +6 for Dawson, +2 for me. So now the standings heading into this next week: Luke at 18, Philly at 18, and me at 16. So tight race so far. Upset picks: Luke got James Madison right, Dawson got Buffalo right, and I got Georgia Tech wrong. All right, now heading into the next week, week 5 of college football. We will skip the number 1 game of the week because we all know what it is, and we're just gonna skip it because I don't want to do that first. We'll head to. You want to start with Arkansas A&M?
Probably.
Start with Arkansas A&M. I'll do Luke's pick first, and then my pick, and then Philly can go. So Luke picked A&M winning 28-10. I'm gonna go with A&M. I think them being at home is a little bit of an advantage for them. I think this game will be close, though. I think Arkansas has a good running game, but I got A&M winning 31-27. Philly, what you got?
Now, with the struggles that we have seen from Texas A&M, I think that Arkansas has a very good shot to go into Kyle Field and pull off an upset. Okay, Dexter. There really only 2 big wins were McNeese and Florida. Neither of those teams very good, and they let Bowling Green hang around, as well as lost to Notre Dame. So, with that being said, I'm a lot higher on Arkansas than most people. Should have beat Oklahoma State, which obviously we've seen not a very good team, but a ranked team at that. And I'm going to pick Arkansas to win this one by a score of 28-23.
Going last, I've realized there's a bit of an advantage in this because you can kind of see what you want to pick for points and stuff. So you're last this time.
I just be picking what I think.
Yeah, no, I just be doing that too. But it's also you can think like Smarter, not harder.
Okay.
I didn't even put who Luke thought was going to win this game. We'll move on to number 20, Oklahoma State at number 23, Kansas State. Luke in this game has Oklahoma State winning 42-40 in 3 overtimes.
What game?
Oklahoma State at Kansas State.
Okay.
Luke has Oklahoma State winning 42-40 in 3 overtimes. Yeah. Okay, I forgot to write it down. His winner. I just put down the score. Now I just seeing off what happened last week to Kansas State, they're gonna have to fix. They got a lot to fix, I meant to say. In Oklahoma State, they have to fix the running game. They have to fix scoring. But I say Oklahoma State wins it 38-27 on the road at Kansas State. I think Ollie Gordon will have his best game of the season so far, and they'll win this game. Philly, what you got?
I don't like Oklahoma State. Not a fan of Oklahoma State this season. I'm going to pick Kansas State to win this one by a lot. I'm going to pick Kansas State 35, Oklahoma State 16.
A blowout of sorts there. Now moving on to number 15, Louisville at number 16, Notre Dame. Luke has Louisville winning this 19-6 in a low-scoring bout between an ACC and an independent, I should say. I have Notre Dame winning this one 28-13. They are at home. They are the lower-ranked team by 1 seed, and I think they are going to win this one 28-13. And I'm going to get my +3 for the low rank beating the higher ranked. So, Philly, what do you got?
Haven't really seen a lot of Louisville this season.
Me either.
So kind of coming in blind here. I've seen a little bit of Notre Dame from the A&M game, and obviously catching a little bit of the Northern Illinois game at the end, but
both of those not great.
No, not great. Notre Dame is favored in this one by a touchdown, but I am going to pick Notre Dame to win this one. I'm going to say Notre Dame is going to win 24-15.
So far, we have disagreed on all 3 of the games we have predicted so far. Not just me and Philly. Luke, me, and Philly. Now moving on to I think it is a really sneaky game here. Number 19, Illinois at number 9, Penn State. James Franklin says he wants a whiteout type atmosphere for this game against a ranked Illinois team who is off a very good win over a ranked Nebraska team at the time. Luke has Penn State winning this one 31-16 at home. I also have Penn State winning. I have them winning 23-16. I think Drew Allar has made the steps he needed to make, but I do not think I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's like a really good 5-star quarterback like he was supposed to be, but I think he's a lot better than he was last year. He takes control of the ball. Their running backs are really good, and they will carry them to win here. What you got?
Well, this is the first one that we're all going to agree on. I know Illinois is a ranked team, and they've been on a pretty good run here as of late. But, I mean, Penn State, I just think that they are a far superior team to Illinois, and I'm going to pick Penn State to win this one 33-10.
All right, 33-10 at home. So dominant home win there for them. Now, the game of the week, number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. I got to write down. I don't even know who I think's going to win. I'm going to write it down before I talk about it. I always do that. Luke will go Bama with the win here. He has number 4 Bama with the upset-ish. 20-13, he has Alabama winning. I'm also going to go with Alabama and Jalen Milroe. I'll go 38-34. So I have a lot more points than what Luke has down. I can't put 38 points. These defenses are too good, dude. I'll go 28-24. Put both scores down 10. 28-24. Philly, what you got?
We know that Kirby Smart obviously facing a different Alabama team, as this one is led by Kalen DeBoer now, not Nick Saban. And DeBoer obviously brings a different type of scheme to the table compared to Nick Saban's offense. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how he is able to game plan for this matchup. But I'm going to pick.
It's a hard one to pick.
It is. You really don't know what to expect. You know, both teams are good.
It's like a playoff game.
Yeah.
But week
5. With that being said, though, Georgia, a little bit shaky versus Kentucky. Bama, a little bit shaky versus USF. But Bama pulled away from USF later. Georgia did not pull away from Kentucky. I'm going to take Bama to win this one 31-28.
All three of us have a one-score, one-possession lead. One-possession win by Alabama in the game of the week. So that will be the top 5 games of the week. Now, upset picks of the week. Luke has picked Washington. I got to check on who they play. I don't remember. Washington. They will play. That's not what I was looking for. They play Rutgers. He has Washington upsetting Rutgers. Rutgers is the home team in this one. Rutgers team that has a really good run game with Kyle Monangai and a insane offensive line.
Rutgers is favored by 2 in that game.
So a not really huge upset pick for him. For me, I'm going to go with USF to beat Tulane. USF led by their quarterback Byron Brown. If I can get to the game here. They have beat Bethune 48-3. They lost to Bama 42-16. Beat Southern Miss 49-24. Lost to Miami 50-15. And now they're 4.5-point underdogs against Tulane on the road. And I have South Florida picking up the upset win here. That's my upset pick. What do you got, Philly?
I'm down to 2 here. Looking at Fresno State and UNLV, as well as Texas State and Sam Houston. I think both teams have a shot. Sam Houston is a 10-point underdog compared to Fresno State being only a 2-point underdog. But I think that Fresno State has a higher chance to knock off UNLV, especially considering losing their quarterback in the middle of the week, which we will talk about in a second. Also losing a running back. I mean, it's just kind of a wild thing that I feel like we will probably start to see more in college football, unfortunately. The whole situation is just kind of wild. Starting quarterback on a team that is very well contending for a playoff spot for the group of 5, just leaving over an NIL dispute. So I'm going to pick Fresno State to take down UNLV.
All right.
So now that whole situation, quarterback Matthew Sluka, he says he was promised $100K verbally by a staffer at UNLV, to where he's only been paid out $3,000 so far. Obviously, if you're promised $100,000 and you only get $3,000 of it, you're going to be a little bit upset about it. I don't know about walking out the door on your team. That just seems kind of odd to me. I don't see how a coach looking for a quarterback in the transfer portal would look and say, "Yeah, that's the guy I want to lead my team and be the voice of the locker room." I wouldn't want someone who's just going to walk out over some money. You want the player to be there because he wants to be there, not just because of the money. But unfortunately, this might be what starts to happen in college football a lot more often. He transfers out. Their running back also transfers out. He had a good bit of carries. I will find out who that is real quick. Can't remember the name.
It's just a weird situation all around. I mean, the money thing is just going to start being like it is the main college football runs on money right now, and we will definitely see more of players doing that.
His name is Michael Allen. He transferred in from NC State last season. He's back in the portal.
Not really said how much, or they said if that was about NIL.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I mean, just right back to back. I mean, you can just kind of infer that it's about that. But who knows? Could be something different. But just really weird for UNLV. And we will move on.
Hold on.
No, we won't.
Also, Notre Dame defensive back enters the portal, which is kind of weird.
Red shirts and enters.
Yep, because you're at the 3-game point for most teams in the season where you've either played 3 or 4 games, and obviously you can't play more than 4 games if you plan on redshirting. So you just kind of redshirt and leave and save your eligibility for another school. As another player that we saw do that, USC defensive lineman Bear Alexander. Very, very highly touted recruit, and I think he's been a pretty solid piece to the USC defensive line. I'm sure he'll end up at a SEC Power 4 school next season. Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. I'm sure it'll be one of those. But just kind of weird situations as we progress through the season and we start to see players not have under 4 games to redshirt, or as we see them not have only played in under 4 games. They can't redshirt anymore, and then they just got to finish the season with whatever they got. But, I mean, I don't really like the whole in-season transferring and all that. I just think it's pretty dumb.
They wait. They can't really transfer to the end of the year, right?
No, they can't. But it's basically just walking out on your team.
You can't even play or do anything. You just got to, get ready for the next year, pretty much.
Yep.
And I can't even see that being any fun at all either.
Mm-mm.
But, I mean, college football, it's about money.
All right, now we will move on.
It's time to talk about our team's games last week, right?
Yep.
I'll go first because mine's just
not as eventful.
Yeah. So, Ohio State last week played Marshall in a game that I was at. Marshall, the very big underdogs in this game, but they started the game not too bad. After the end of the first, it was a 7-7 tie. Then heading in after the second, it was 28-14 at halftime. Then Ohio State shut out Marshall the rest of the game. Fourth quarter was mostly backups, and they won it 49-14 over the Marshall Thundering Herd. Marshall came out with a great game plan, drove right down the field and scored a touchdown. Ethan Payne, 1 yard rushing touchdown. He's from Poca, which is not far away from us.
Mm-hmm.
He scored his first touchdown of the season. Then Elijah Metcalf, a 13-yard pass from Stone Earl, who had a very good game. Stone Earl kept the ball in Marshall's hands, milked the clock, just did exactly what he needed to do. 16 for 21 for 132 yards and a touchdown. That was before he got injured and left the game. Will Howard went 16 for 20 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. And then the story of the game, Ohio State's rushing attack. Quinshad Judkins, 14 carries, 173 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns with an 86-yard rushing touchdown. Travion Henderson, 6 for 76 and 2 touchdowns. They both averaged Quinshon 12.4 yards an attempt Travion, 12.7 yards an attempt. Receiving, Egbuka, 5 for 117 and a touchdown. Jeremiah Smith, 3 for 70 and a touchdown. Carnell also had 4 for 64. I mean, can't ask for much more offensively, but defensively, I definitely can. The front seven did not play very good in this game. And then it led to our back five not playing that well either. So they got to fix that. Tyleek, I think, will be back this week. He did practice on Wednesday. Didn't hear much about it today, but Lathan Ransom, 8 tackles on the day and a TFL, probably the defensive player of the game. But they really need to figure out the middle of the defense. I mean, you can't have players healthy all year. Tyleek missed one game, and they really just ran the ball up the middle a lot and ran it with their quarterback. That's got to get figured out. Then in man coverage, Marshall knew like every time we were in man and ran slants. I mean, it was just so much. Third downs, that's insane. Marshall had 17 third downs, converted 7. Ohio State had 8 and converted 4. Just like, I mean, it wasn't like it didn't really feel like a blowout until into the third. It was a close game, like in my eyes, till then. But Will Howard's interception, I guess we'll talk about that. He threw it deep down the field to Jeremiah Smith. He said that his first read was gone, his second read, or that was his second read, and he just tried to throw it up. He said that he wouldn't change the way he threw it or how he threw it, but it's whatever. It's his first pick. He gets out of the way, and hopefully throws none against Michigan State, which leads me into the next thing. Ohio State plays Michigan State on the road at 7:30 on Peacock. I'll say it'll probably be like a 56-7 game, something like that. 56. I'll go 56-6. I don't want him to score a touchdown. 56-6. Look at this time of possession.
That's crazy.
All right. Now, Dawson, without Luke, you talk about USC and Michigan, and then I don't even know. Do you play Minnesota? Good looks by me.
Now we don't have to listen to Luke sit here and
I just yapped.
butter freaking Alex Orgy's biscuits. Because obviously we saw that, I mean, Michigan just really does not have a true quarterback.
Till next year.
I mean,
Barstool.
7 for 12, 32 yards. When your leading receiver in a game has 1 catch for 10 yards, that's pretty bad. Marlon Klein, 1 catch for 10 yards. Donovan Edwards, 1 catch, 9 yards. Samaj Morgan, 3 catches for 6 yards. Frederick Moore, 1 catch for 5 yards. Khalil Mullings, 1 catch for 2 yards. I mean, we just are an extremely one-dimensional football team right now, which I'm sure that's what has been anticipated of us, but, I mean, even more so than last year. Last year, we were pretty one-dimensional, but we could throw the ball when we needed to. This year, I really am not sure if when it comes down to it, we can throw the ball. Khalil Mullings, how about him? 17 carries, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 long runs, averaged 9 carries, averaged 9 yards per carry. Donovan Edwards, everybody's saying that he's not doing too well. Oh, well. He's definitely not an elite running back, but he's still a pretty solid back. 14 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. That's not terrible. 5 yards a carry, that's pretty good. But if you take away the 1 run, 13 carries for 33 yards, then it looks a whole lot worse. So, I mean, to each their own. Both backs had big carries. It is what it is. We just ran some smash mouth football, and it got the job done. Miller Moss, 28 for 51, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Woody Marks broke the century mark on 13 carries. Zachariah Branch, 6 catches for 98 yards, was their leading receiver. Jacoby Lane and Jay Fair both had a receiving touchdown. It was just a really weird game. Got down to that 4th and goal. Don't remember the last time I was that nervous. I don't think I was that nervous during the Alabama game. Not gonna lie. But
I figured you guys would have. I just think 4th and goal at the 1 yard line for a Michigan team with that big of an O line. I was preparing myself for a touchdown, and they got it. And then USC didn't really use the time very good.
That's what Michigan football is. Run it down your throat. Try and stop it.
It's a lot more of running it down your throat though now.
A lot more. All right. Anyways, on to the game that Michigan will be playing this week as they will take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Row the boat, baby.
Not really sure what to expect here. Minnesota's 2-2. Michigan is favored in this game by 10 points.
Weird.
That's so weird to see. 10-point favorites. But I mean, I'm really not surprised. They give Minnesota a 23% chance to win this game.
But a 10-point favorite?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Don't
see that often.
I mean, it's just a really weird season. Khalil Mulling's still our leading rusher. Darius Taylor for Minnesota is a very good running back. He'll be one to look out for. I'm just curious to see if Colston Loveland does return this week, what Alex Orji is able to do with Colston Loveland. I mean, we really need to see the ball be able to be thrown and not just little screens or little tight end crossers 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. I want to see them work the ball down the field with Alex Orji. He's a great athlete. He's got a great arm. It's just really, can he put the ball where it needs to be at the right time and make the right reads? So, I mean, last week was his first start in a huge game. I'm sure he will be able to develop as a great athlete would. Yeah, that's about all I got for that. I'm going to say Michigan wins this one like 27-7. I don't think it'll be close, but it won't be necessarily a blowout. It's just going to be what we're going to see from Michigan this year. If they're playing not as big of opponents, it's just going to be 30-10 win or 28-18 win. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be a massive game, but we'll see. Obviously, I hope that we win by a lot, but I just don't see it happening.
It's just like you have. I get being able to run the ball. It's like Michigan's identity, but I think that they need to get better at passing the ball just a little. Like they just got to be able to throw for like 100 yards a game. Because if you go against a team like Michigan, is supposed to be a team that's in the playoffs. If you go against a team in the playoffs and Ohio State and Alabama, Georgia, anybody in the top 10, you're not just going to be able to run the ball all the time. Yes, they have success running the ball 30 times in a row against Penn State. But Penn State also can't just fill the box and not like think of passing, like because JJ could throw it a lot better than what Orji and whoever else plays for Michigan to start the year.
I also think part of the issue with it is
Davis
it's
Warren.
just
no. I was saying that Davis Warren and Alex Orji. I said whoever else played for Michigan because I forgot the guy's name. Sorry.
I think one of the main problems is, I mean, we know JJ was a very good quarterback. Obviously, went first round in the NFL draft.
Hasn't done nothing. Just kidding. He's hurt.
Okay. But another reason I think that maybe this Michigan team is not having as much success passing, I don't think it all lays on the quarterback's shoulders. Obviously, you have to put some of the blame on Davis Warren, some of the blame on Alex Orji, but I just don't think they have people on the outside that can win. Samaj Morgan, sure, he's a good receiver. I don't necessarily know if he's a good number one. Like last year, we had Cornelius Johnson. We had Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson obviously could stretch the field. Cornelius Johnson, to a certain extent, could stretch the field. And then Samaj Morgan just had to work off that, as well as having Colston Loveland and A.J. Barner in the tight end position. Just a lot of the focus was not on him offensively. Now you line him up outside. He's the number one receiver. You got him. You'll have Peyton O'Leary. You'll have Frederick Moore, Tyler Morris, C.J. Charleston, Kendrick Bell at times. It's just not necessarily names that pop off the paper. Colston Loveland, great tight end. You can try and guard him. I don't think you will be able to. But the receivers, I just don't think they're able to win enough consistently on the outside, or just that's why you just see a lot of screens, a lot of dinks, a lot of short passes, tight ends, screens. I mean, it's just we don't push the ball. That's part of the issue.
A lot of your receivers, though, are also on other teams. You know what's crazy? Andrew Anthony is 1 catch for 4 yards.
I think he's hurt.
Again?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
He transferred. A.J. Henning transferred. Darius Clemens transferred. It's just like all of
And they
our
weren't
receiver
supposed to be like.
recruits.
It was just because they were like backups that year.
Yeah.
Then they left.
Henning actually started whenever he was in Michigan. It's just he wanted a bigger role, so he left.
He's at Northwestern, right?
Yeah, he's at Northwestern. I don't think he started, but he rotated. Anthony kind of rotated. Darius Clemens, he didn't really ever see the field. So, I mean, it's just kind of a weird wide receiver room as well as a weird quarterback room. I think the quarterbacks are getting all the blame here, which some of it I do believe needs to go to the wide receivers. Not saying all of it, because obviously some of it is on our quarterbacks, but the receivers, Darius Clemens has 3 catches for 35 yards this year.
A.J. Henning has 25 catches for 229 yards.
Yeah, he's their top receiver. All right, well, that's all we have for you guys on this podcast. Thank you guys for listening to episode 31. And we will see you guys back next week with a recap of week 5.
Adios.